there will be an opportunity if you would like to speak on your podium, whichever is the most convenient. One of the rules we have, and it's respect for everybody in here, is you limit your comments to 3 minutes. Best you can. It can be a little over, a little under. So try to keep it 3 minutes or less. But that's being, we don't want to cut you off, it's being courteous to other people that like to speak. So, also, I do not want conversation started engaging. This isn't a group chat. You have your opportunity to come up to the podium and speak. And if somebody else wants to speak or has a similar idea, they can come up and say it. You've got to get up, identify yourself where you live. That being said, what's it? Yeah, 1 minute.
Don't want them to read. Good.
It's 5:30. We'll begin tonight's meeting of the Cookeville Planning Commission, July 28th edition. First thing we'll consider tonight is recognition of Sis Phillips winning AICP certification. That is a lot of work. We want to congratulate him on doing so.
Yes, absolutely, Mr. Chairman. So Christopher's earned his AICP as a certification of the American Institute of Certified Planners and the American Planning Association. It's a very prestigious credential to earn, and a lot of hard work goes into that. So thanks for the recognition there. And Mr. Phillips, thank you for your commitment to planning and for putting in the work to get that certification.
Congratulations. The first item we have tonight is consider approval of the agenda as submitted. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
The second thing we have tonight is consider approval of the minutes of June 23rd, 2025. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. The third item is a consent agenda. The consent agenda is a 6-month extension of the preliminary plat of Turnberry subdivision, 61 lots located on Hawkins Crawford Road. Tax map 064, a portion of parcel 018.08, request submitted by Capital Communities in Sullivan City. Motion to approve.
Second.
All right, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, tonight, the first item here, what is this for? Consider for action a variance for a flag lot and final plat of Waverly East, 2 lots located on South Walnut Avenue, tax map 053-J, Group F, parcel 008-100, request submitted by Capital Communities LLC. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here's a general location of the proposed Waverly East flag lot. Here is a site map on South Walnut Avenue. There's an aerial view. The subject property consists of approximately 0.35 acres. The property is zoned RD, single family and duplex residential, as are all adjacent properties. A flag lot is defined in the subdivision regulations as a lot which is accessed by a strip of land of a width less than the required street frontage and which is located behind another lot which meets the required street frontage. Article 10, Section G of the subdivision regulations specifies that flag lots shall be permitted only for existing lots of record and upon approval of a variance by the Planning Commission, subject to specific conditions. These conditions are: the parcel of land proposed for subdivision to include the flag shall have a depth to width ratio exceeding 2 to 1. No access strip shall be less than 25 feet in width for its entire length. The access strip shall provide access for only one lot and shall be deeded and platted as part of the building site. No building or structure shall be in the access strip. The access strip shall not exceed 500 feet in length, and no more than 2 access strips shall be located side by side. The point where the access strip abuts the public street shall be safe for vehicular ingress and egress as far as visibility and grade are concerned, since unlike other conventional lots, flag lots have no other alternatives for driveway locations. All required building setbacks shall apply and be measured from the boundaries of the portion of the lot excluding the access strip, and the developer shall restrict the flag lot from further subdivision unless the street meeting the requirements, including right-of-way, is constructed. Said restriction shall be placed on the final plat. Our proposed plat depicts 2 lots along South Walnut Avenue. Lot 1 meets the lot width requirement of the RD zone. Lot 2 depicts a 25-foot lot width as required for a flag lot. A 20-foot utility easement is shown across the front of the lots. The proposed flag lot has a depth to width ratio of less than 2 to 1. The width is depicted at 97.57 feet, and the depth is depicted at 165.58 feet. The proposed flag lot is approximately 30 feet short of the required 2 to 1 depth. South Walnut Avenue is defined as a major street as specified in section 204.12 of the zoning code, requiring a 50-foot setback. Section 204.3 of the zoning code, front setback exemptions provide that setbacks may be an average of an existing setback of existing structures within the same zoning district and within 100 feet on the same side of the street. The surveyor for the project provided an analysis to reduce the setback of the proposed lot 1 from 50 feet to 27.2 feet per section 204.3 of the code. And you can see from this aerial, the structures located to the north that are within 100 feet where the provisions of setback averaging would be applicable. The proposed lot 2 depicts the front yard setback facing the south property line instead of fronting South Walnut Avenue. Flag lots have previously been approved with the same setback locations and structure orientations. Right-of-way dedication may be required depending on the surveyor providing dimensions from the center line of South Walnut Avenue. The developer would be held harmless to setbacks and lot size requirements from any dedications. The proposed lot sizes depicted on the plat would accommodate 2 single-family homes. Here are some recent aerial photographs taken of the lot. It has been cleared recently, and this is located across the street from some previous flag lots we've approved for the Waverly development with single-family homes and townhomes on the west side of South Walnut Avenue. So in the opinion of the planning division, the proposed plat would not be detrimental and the variance should be granted and the plat be conditionally approved subject to any additions or corrections by the planning division or other city departments. Happy to answer any questions from the commission on this item.
Thank you, John. Any comments or questions from the commission on this? Does anybody in the audience have a comment, question? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Our next item, which might be the reason some of you are here, consider for action an amendment to the zoning code regarding drive-through restaurants as a use permitted within CN Neighborhood Commercial District as established by Ordinance 01A-05-10. Request submitted by Peggy Sims. This item was requested to be reviewed by the city council. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to go through the whole recommendation because I think some folks may not have been here. We visited this once already and the council visited, but we'll get into that in a minute. But Ms. Peggy Sims submitted a request to amend the zoning code regarding drive-through restaurants as a use permitted within the CN Neighborhood Commercial Zoning District as established by Ordinance 018-05-10. This item was heard by the City Council at their July 3rd, 2025 meeting. The City Council requested the item be sent back to the Planning Commission for further review. Section 233.10 of the zoning code details the process for amending the code. The regulations, restrictions, and boundaries set forth in this zoning code may from time to time be amended, supplemented, changed, modified, or repealed by the City Council. The section also notes that Planning Commission review is required for all zoning code amendments per ordinance 011-918. No amendment shall become effective unless it is first submitted to and approved by the planning commission, or if disapproved, receives the favorable vote of a majority of the entire membership of the council. The CN district is intended for single and two-family residential dwellings, small and moderate-sized offices, personal and business services, and limited general retail businesses serving nearby residential neighborhoods and the general population of the city. All non-residential structures shall be compatible with nearby residential structures in terms of scale and appearance. The maximum square footage of individual developments is restricted. Large-scale commercial or service activities designed to or intended to draw users from an area beyond the immediate environs of the city are prohibited. The submitted application requests that drive-through restaurants be removed from the neighborhood commercial zone. The applicant states that the previously approved amendment to permit drive-throughs, quote, flies in the face of the original intent of the neighborhood commercial zoning by allowing restaurants that are open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, with not only a drive-through window, but other features that are not compatible with scale and appearance of the nearby residential area. The chain restaurants that this amendment is likely to attract are known for having large lighted signage, very bright lights in general, and large outdoor dumpster operations. Well, in 2018, the planning department proposed amendments to the CN neighborhood commercial section of the zoning code by amending section 220 to insert as a use permitted upon appeal, restaurants with drive-through when located on streets of major collector or greater status. The planning commission minutes from April 23rd, 2018 note that the planning department proposed the amendment due to periodic requests for drive-through restaurants in the CN district. The amendment was approved unanimously by the planning commission at that time. Ordinance 018-0510 was approved by the city council on June 7th, 2018 and June 21st, 2018. The subject amendment in the ordinance stated that section 220 CN neighborhood commercial, section 220.2 permitted uses and structures is hereby amended by deleting the words excluding drive-through restaurant in section 220.2b and replacing the following words: drive-through restaurants are prohibited unless accessed from streets of major collector or greater status. The intent of the planning commission and city council's actions were to include restaurant drive-throughs in the CN district with location requirements, including restaurant drive-through as a use permitted upon appeal. Our special exception would amend section 220.4 and would include a new section 220.4D to provide that restaurant drive-through would be permitted when accessed from streets of major collector or greater classification. This would provide for a public hearing on any proposed restaurant with drive-through service in the CN district. The condition established for the special exception would be a location requirement for access on higher classified streets. The amendments to the zoning code approved through ordinance 018-0510 accomplished the same requirement, but it did not provide for a public hearing. So that was the amendment that was recommended by the planning commission, and that was heard by the council and referred back to the planning commission for further consideration. So during the city council review, the proposed amendment of deleting drive-through restaurants as a use permitted by right within the CN district and making drive-through restaurants a use permitted upon appeal. Council members voiced concerns regarding protections for residential neighborhoods adjacent to the potential drive-throughs. Citizens voiced their concerns to the council, and the council sent the amendment back to the planning commission for further consideration of protections to residential neighborhoods. This is the ordinance that was sent back to the planning commission and for this item to be looked into further. Here's some location maps. So these are our CN zones in the city. You can see the majority of them are located on 10th Street, North Washington Avenue. We do have some areas along First. There is some areas on Low and Hudgens Street and along South Walnut Avenue. These are the tracks that would be that are located on streets classified as major collector or higher. So these would be potential locations where drive-throughs could be located. The way the code currently reads, and if amended to allow it as a use permitted upon appeal. So the planning division researched how comparable cities attempted to protect neighborhoods when they are adjacent to drive-through restaurants. We had difficulties finding a lot of information on this. Specifically Murfreesboro, though, they require a 200-foot separation from any menu board to a property used for a property line of of adjacent single-family use. So if there was a house on a property within 200 feet, that it wouldn't be an eligible location. We looked into other things, other considerations that could protect single-family residences, including sound barriers, limiting hours of operations for menu boards, requiring location standards for menu boards, prohibiting amplified menu boards, also considerations for dumpster locations and solid waste disposal. Also, removal of drive-through restaurants as a permitted use from the CN district is something the Planning Commission can recommend. Given our additional analysis into this and seeing that council has indicated to look into this further, our recommendation is going to be to remove restaurant drive-through as a permitted use from the CN zoning district. So that would not be allowed as a use by right. It would not be allowed as a use on appeal. It just, no restaurants would be permitted to have drive-throughs. Now, that does not say other uses in the CN zone cannot have a drive-through, like, Walgreens has a drive-through. We have banks that have drive-throughs, but I think those are considered much less impactful than what a fast food restaurant chain, how that would impact adjacent properties. Further, I want to state we did have a proposal that, that was a catalyst for this to be reviewed and the application to be submitted for a proposed drive-through restaurant in the CN zone. And that project, they have submitted official plans, so you can't change the zoning to stop that. So that would have to be allowed to move forward. But this would eliminate, amending the code to remove drive-throughs would eliminate any future drive-throughs in the CN zone. So I'm happy to answer any questions from the commission on this. But as I stated, our recommendation is to delete that and remove that as a permitted use in the CN zone.
Thank you, John. Do we have any permission? Permission will ask the question or comment. If not, I'll open it up to the audience. If you'd like to make a comment about this, for or against, come up to the podium and identify yourself.
I'm Peggy Sims, I live on North Maple, and I submitted that amendment, but, I really appreciate y'all listening to all the concerns that all the people who have heard about this, because I think part of the problem, after being in some of these meetings, I sure didn't realize that Washington and East 10th Street were considered major collector roads, and that when that came through in 2018, when it said they would be allowed on major collector roads, that what meant my neighborhood, that there could be fast food restaurants. And I don't think anybody wants to live right next to a fast food restaurant. Everybody probably here doesn't want to live next to a fast food restaurant. There's just a multitude of problems with that. We've had one homeowner sell their home already that is going to be right next to the McDonald's. Anyway, I appreciate y'all listening.
Thank you for your comment. Would anybody else like to come up to the podium, make a comment? Thank you.
My name's David Ledbetter, and I'm not here as a lawyer for anybody. I'm here for myself and my wife primarily. Although, from what Mr. Ford just said, I don't think I need to say anything else. What I'm interested in, I live on Timber Lane, right across the street, very near the Cookeville Presbyterian Church. And part of this property that we're asking the amendment to be passed to protect is right next to the Cookeville Presbyterian Church and in front of my house on Timber Lane. So I have a personal interest in it. And I don't want to prolong it because he says, and I agree 100% with him, as for Mrs. Sims. So rather than prolong what I was intending to say, I think you understand where I'm coming from. I'm all for, and we respectfully request that you ask the commission, the council, to amend the ordinance to prohibit drive-through restaurants in the commercial neighborhood zone.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Seymour.
Would anybody else like to come up and speak? Welcome to do so. All right. I see nobody. I'll entertain a motion.
So.
I'll second Tom's motion for moving.
Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Fast food restaurants and drive-throughs and everything. We're going to recommend not to have that. So, if that's all you're welcome to stay, because we're not used to crowds. All right, moving on. The next item we have, consider for action rezoning a property at 1630 Blackwell Road, tax map 083, parcel 075.00, from LM Life Manufacturing, the CI, commercial industrial mixed use, the Quest, Linda, Walter, Sandra, Linda Blackus.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here's the general location of the Blackwell Road property. Here is the site map, depicting the parcel. We have an aerial view of the tract, and this is our existing zoning. The subject property consists of 0.94 acres. The rezoning request, including street right-of-ways, would contain approximately 1.75 acres due to this being located on State Highway 111 and the additional area that we would rezone to the center line of that street. Property is currently zoned LM and is adjacent to properties to the north, west, and south that are also zoned LM. That is bordered by CI to the north, east, and south. The application for rezoning states rezoning is respectively requested for, among others, the following 5 reasons: strategic location along a major interstate, compatibility with surrounding land uses, market demand and economic benefit, better alignment with property potential, and no adverse impact on residential areas. Rezoning of the property from LM Light Manufacturing to commercial industrial reflects the practical and forward-looking use of a strategically located parcel. It aligns with market trends, supports economic development, complements neighboring uses, and enhances the property's potential for community-serving commercial activity. The LM district is intended for light industrial uses and establishments involved in the manufacture predominantly from previously prepared materials of finished products or parts, including assembly, processing, fabrication, limited storage, warehouse, wholesaling, and distribution of products, but excluding basic industrial processing. Commercial and service uses in support of industrial uses are also permitted. The CI district is intended to accommodate a mixture of compatible commercial and light industrial developments. The district is generally located where permitted developments have direct access to streets of at least major collector classification. Our future land use plan designates the subject property as best suited for mixed use commercial industrial uses. The CI zoning designation would be compliant. Rezoning to CI would be a downzoning from the current LM zoning designation. An existing single family structure is located on the property. Current GIS status shows no natural factor encumbrances or sinkhole retention areas on the subject property. Here are some aerial views. This is looking to the north. You can see there's an existing structure, the existing home on the property, but this has been zoned commercial. It's been zoned manufacturing for many years now. That's looking back to the east. It's just a straight down view of the subject property. Our recommendation is approval of the rezoning request. This is a border property that's compliant with the plan. It borders on the CI LM zones. Happy to answer any questions from the commission on this.
Thank you, John. Any questions or comments, commission? Anybody in the audience would like to make a comment for or against this rezoning? Okay, seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
For approval.
Sorry. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. The next item we have, consider for action the rezoning of a portion of the property located at 2034 West Broad Street, tax map 039, portion of parcel 205.00 from CI Commercial Industrial Mixed Use to CL Local Commercial, request submitted by Chad Gilbert and Mark Dean on behalf of its limited partnership.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Here's a general location on the corner of Broad Street and Tennessee Avenue. Here is a location map of the parcel. Extends from the railroad north to West Broad Street. An aerial view. This is currently occupied by vehicle salvage on the property. And this is the existing zoning. The subject property contains approximately 41.13 acres. The area requested for rezoning consists of a portion of this parcel and is approximately 16.24 acres. The rezoning request, including street right-of-ways, would be approximately 18.17 acres. The parcel is split zone, CI Commercial Industrial Mixed Use and CL Local Commercial. The parcel is bordered by CL to the northwest and east, by CI to the east and south, and by RS20 Single Family Residential to the west. The application for rezoning states the parcel is currently split zoned, requesting homogeneous zoning for mixed use development. CI district is intended to accommodate a mixture of compatible commercial and light industrial developments, generally located with direct access on streets of major collector classification or higher. The CL district is for small and moderate sized offices, personal and business services, general retail businesses serving the general population of the city. The maximum square footage of individual developments is restricted and is determined by street classification. Large scale commercial or service activities designed or intended to draw users from an area beyond the immediate environs of the city are prohibited. Of note, residential development is also permitted within the CL zoning district. Our future land use plan designates the property as best suited for local commercial and mixed use commercial industrial uses. The CL district would comply with this designation. Rezoning from CI to CL would also be a downzoning like our previous item. A vehicle salvage yard is currently located on the subject property. Redevelopment of the site would enhance aesthetics along Tennessee Avenue and the West Broad Street corridor. Current GIS data shows no natural factor encumbrances or sinkhole retention areas on the subject property. Now, this is in addition to what we went over in our work session on Thursday. Since that work session last week, the planning division was contacted by the applicants about access to Tennessee Avenue. So Tennessee Avenue is classified as a local interstate connector and is operated as a partially controlled access facility as established by Ordinance 017-1122. No public driveway access is permitted on Tennessee Avenue. Access to the street is limited to select public streets. When Tennessee Avenue was constructed, 4 access points were built at locations along the street from Interstate 42 West Broad Street, where public streets must be constructed and properties must be developed from these parallel access points. Putnam County has constructed a new public street, Event Center Drive, as the first connection to Tennessee Avenue in where they developed the fairground on the southern end of the facility. No access points were planned north of the Nashville and Eastern Railroad to West Broad Street when Tennessee Avenue was constructed. So you have no access point from that railroad north to West Broad Street. The distance from the railroad to West Broad is approximately 2,650 feet, or just over 1/2 mile. The tract proposed for rezoning has approximately 733 feet of frontage on West Broad Street, and that tapers to approximately 640 feet at the railroad right away on the southern end of the parcel. The Planning Division and TDOT have had discussions with developers about the property on the western corner of West Broad Street and Tennessee Avenue intersection, where driveway access to the street was requested, which is prohibited by ordinance. So that is that parcel that's up right in this area right here. So we've had several conversations with folks that wanted to develop that side and requested driveway access, but it is limited. So when we've told folks that, they've, no developments move forward on the property. The subject tract has approximately 410 feet of frontage on Tennessee Avenue. When we discussed this with various developers, we recommended that they coordinate a public street location for parallel access to properties on both the western and eastern sides of Tennessee Avenue. The property with the majority side of Tennessee Avenue only has access from Dyer Grimes Road through existing residential properties. So you can see the parcel that occupies most of the frontage on the west side of Tennessee Avenue. The only access to that tract is along Dyer Grimes Road, which is, it's west of Tennessee Avenue there. It's a small street that goes through three existing residential properties there. Due to no planned access north of the railroad, the distance from the railroad to West Broad Street, and the limited access for the property on the west side of the street, the Planning Division recognizes justification for another access point north of the railroad to accommodate development on both the east and west sides of Tennessee Avenue. With the rezoning review, the Planning Division requests Planning Commission review of a proposed access point north of the railroad located south of the left turn lane taper on Tennessee Avenue. So we've identified the approximate location of that. Now, given the 2,600 approximate feet of frontage on Tennessee Avenue, that would put intersection spacing at around 1,300 feet, which that is an appropriate intersection spacing even for signalized intersections. So here's some aerial views. We'll give you guys some ideas where that's looking. You see the railroad going north. The southern portion of this property is wooded. That's also on the southern end. The railroad's at the bottom of the screen. So that's looking back to the southwest. You can see how far back the taper for the left turning movements on Tennessee Avenue occupies. We would recommend something south of that point for any proposed parallel access street. This is again looking back to the south. So our recommendation is approval of the rezoning request and approval of an access point on Tennessee Avenue north of the railroad as presented. The rezoning obviously goes to City Council for their consideration. Access points would also have to go to City Council for their consideration to be granted an additional access point on the facility. Happy to answer any questions from the commission. That's our recommendation.
Thank you, John. Any comments from the commission? Question and comment?
One access point, both sides of Tennessee Avenue. correct?
Yes, it would have to be a planned parallel access street. So it would need to, serve both properties from that point. And that's like our intent for the development of Tennessee Avenue is to not have driveway cuts like you do on Willow and Jefferson every, 25, 50, 75, 100 feet down the facility. So it will always continually move traffic. And any development that occurs can be provided off parallel access. So however the streets are constructed off those access points will be determined by how property is developed.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments? Seeing none, I'll open this up to the audience. Does anybody have any comments for or against this? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Our next item, consider for study the review and approval of access to a street of lower classification for a double frontage lot not used for single-family residential purposes for the proposed Church of Jesus Christ in Latter-day Saints located at 750 Neal Street, tax map 066-D, Group A, parcel 001-102. Request submitted by Jack Grayson, on behalf of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. John.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think we had a typo on the agenda. This is an action item, so it is a consider for action, and that's how we have it in the presentation. But my apologies for that. That's an error on the agenda. Oh, here is the general location of the proposed Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints location on Neal Street. Here is a site map. They have since combined those two tracts into one parcel. Here we have an aerial view of the property. And this is our existing zoning designation. Mr. Jack Grayson submitted a request for review and approval of access to a street of lower classification for a double frontage lot not used for single-family residential purposes for the proposed Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints located at 750 Mill Street. The proposed new church has frontage, the proposed site for the new church has frontage on both Mill Street, Maple Point Drive, and South Maple Avenue. Section 205.9C4 of the zoning code states double frontage lots zoned or used for other than single-family residential purposes with frontage on both a street of major collector or higher classification and a street of minor collector or less classification shall be allowed access to the street of lower classification only upon review and approval of the planning commission. The proposed new development is subject to this standard. It would allow for 2 access points based on the linear feet of road frontage per section 205.9C of the code. Well, here's our existing track. That's the 2 tracks that have been combined now. So that's the topographic survey of those parcels of the property. The development has frontage on both Neal Street, a major arterial street, and Maple Point Drive, which is classified as a local street. The submitted plans show a right-in and right-out only access point located on Neal Street. So that's on this page 2. That's the location of the right-in, right-out. By only allowing right-in, right-out, a median cut along Neal Street would not be needed for the property. Second point of access is proposed on Maple Point Drive, which would allow vehicular access from South Maple Avenue. This would provide for a left turn at the intersection of South Maple and Neal Street, which is a signalized intersection. The city seeks to preserve the existing median on Neal Street without left turn cuts to improve overall traffic operations on the primary thoroughfare. The traffic impact study was submitted by the petitioners along with the plans as required by the city. The submitted study notes that providing 1 access point on Maple Point Drive and 1 access point on Neal Street as a right-in, right-out would provide adequate safety and traffic management protocols for the proposed development, and no further recommendations were presented through the traffic impact study. So that was included in you guys' packets. We did require traffic analysis of this proposal. So of note here, churches are allowed in any district in the city. They're allowed in the single-family districts. They're allowed in commercial districts, multifamily districts. All of our zoning districts allow churches. Due to the traffic study and maintaining the Neal Street median, our recommendation is approval of the request. Happy to answer any questions from the commission on this.
Thank you, John. Any questions? Go ahead, John.
John South Maple, from the west side of Needham, South Maple intersection, Veterans intersection, Needham Cookeville, or South Maple on the other side of Needham. Should Veterans Drive be mentioned in this description, how this is going to work or not?
It was all analyzed in the traffic impact study, Mr. Cobb. So that was the engineering analysis provided by KCI, took all that into account. And their recommendations based on their engineering analysis was no additional improvements were necessary for it to function.
I'm just talking about the description. Can you go back to that previous statement? We didn't know that we saw it.
Which
Follow the cover of the study.
they analyzed all those intersections, that are depicted on the cover of the study. I believe we have the executive summary in all the packets, correct? I mean, all the text, that was the executive summary.
You okay?
He refers to it as signalized, you got to categorize it, signalized and unsignalized. What I'm concerned about is unsignalized, so that makes sense down here.
Well, let's have you. Seeing none here, I'll open it up for the audience. If anybody would like to make comments for or against, come up to either podium, state your name and your address.
Good evening, my name is Marty Donnelly, and I live at 737 Maple Point Drive. So I'm the president of our HOA. We have 20 homeowners here to voice our concerns about the opposition of this proposal. And I have a letter, I have two other homeowners that would like to have a comment, and I'll try to keep this within 3 minutes. We, the undersigned residents of the villas at Maple Point, representing the 28 households in our community, respectfully submit this letter in strong opposition to the proposed ingress and or egress from the rear of the adjacent church's overflow parking lot via Maple Point Drive, a narrow dead-end residential street within our neighborhood. The part of Maple Point Drive the church will be using is the area directly across from the pool and community gathering space. The request is not to drive through the neighborhood. However, some church attendees will inevitably turn down the street out of curiosity as to see where it goes. This proposal threatens the safety, character, and infrastructure of our tightly knit, family-oriented community. We urge the commission to deny this request, preserving the peaceful residential value of the villas at Maple Point, as evidenced by its original design and upheld by residents for nearly 2 decades. To support our case, we're submitting a map highlighting the church's extensive Neal Street frontage and the pool's location marked by an arrow adjacent to the proposed access point. I have a copy of that map I'll be glad to share with you. Maple Point Drive is not designated for through traffic. Maple Point Drive is a narrow, unmarked, dead-end residential street, never intended for commercial, event-related, or high-volume traffic. Its limited width, lacking center lines or lane dividers, cannot safely accommodate two-way traffic, especially for unfamiliar drivers. The proposed access point is directly adjacent to our neighborhood pool, a hub of activity for children, families, and elderly residents, particularly on weekends. The church's website indicates Sunday service at 9 a.m. and 12 p.m., with traffic likely from 8:30 a.m. to 2 p.m., overlapping with peak pool usage and quiet mornings. The submitted map with an arrow marking the pool's location near the church's rear property underscores the immediate danger to pedestrians from increased vehicle traffic. Our neighborhood was designed as a quiet, self-contained, dead-end community marked by 2 prominent brick monuments at the entrance reading the villas at Maple Point. These symbolize our identity as a secluded residential enclave, not a thoroughfare. Vehicles exiting Maple Point Drive would enter South Maple Avenue at a sharp curve with poor visibility, creating a potential hazard for both exiting drivers and passing traffic. Our 28 townhomes, many single occupant with 1 vehicle, already generate congestion during peak hours. Residents maintain a voluntary 10 to 15 mile per hour speed limit, a standard unfamiliar drivers are unlikely to follow, endangering a walkable community. Maple Point Drive, maintained by the city but unmarked, lacks center lines, lane dividers, or traffic signals, reflecting its design for low volume residential use, not institutional traffic. Maple Point Drive ends in a true dead end with a very tight public turnaround as shown on the submitted map. Many people going down our street thinking it is a through street have to use resident driveways to turn around, risking property damage. A recent estate sale hit and run damaged 4 mailboxes, costing our HOA $1,200 to $15 to repair, an incident likely to recur with non-resident traffic. The church's property fronts Neal Street, a 4-lane highway, as depicted on the map, fully capable of handling all vehicle access for services, events, and deliveries. If the Neal Street entrance exit is an issue, the median could be modified into a turning lane to facilitate access. The map's depiction of extensive frontage eliminates any need to reroute traffic through a residential street. Past parking arrangements with developer permission never included traffic lights through Maple Point Drive. This cannot justify a permanent change that endangers our community. And I'm not out of town.
Yes.
I have two other folks that would like to say something, so in mind. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you for allowing us to speak. My name is Tony Reed, and I am the treasurer of the Maple Point Homeowners Association. I am speaking on behalf of a consensus of the 28 families that live on Maple Point Drive. Many of those have chosen to attend this meeting. Maple Point is not a through street. It is a quiet street that is the only exit from our neighborhood. Already, we sometimes have problems exiting, especially if we turn south on Maple towards Veterans. We as an HOA representing our neighborhood object to using Maple Point Drive as a new entrance and exit, creating more traffic at that intersection. The Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is constructing a facility with seating for 212, with 242 parking spaces. The current design shows a proposed exit from the northeast parking lot onto Neal Street and a second exit onto Maple Point Drive. We are suggesting that if two exits for this small church are necessary, use the south parking lot for a second exit onto Neal Street. There are several examples around Cookeville of much larger churches exiting onto a single major street. Life Church on North Washington Avenue has approximately 1,000 people in their large service, with 3 additional services on the weekend. They have approximately 450 parking spaces that all empty onto Washington Avenue via multiple lot exits. The River Church on Miracle Road has approximately 750 people in their large service and over 375 spaces. All of their parking exits to Willow via Green Gate Lane. Willow Avenue Church of Christ has approximately 350 spaces and exits onto Winston Road and Green Gate Lane, which is a shared exit with the River Church, both empty onto Willow Avenue. We welcome the Latter-day Saints Church as our new neighbor, and we wish them the very best in their new location. In the future, if they grow their church to the point that it is unreasonable to use 2 exits onto Neal, I am sure the Planning Commission will revisit the necessity of a 3rd entrance or exit. However, at this time, we request the Planning Commission deny the request for an exit onto a small, quiet street. I thank the Commission for the opportunity to voice our concerns.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to get up and speak, please?
Lee Jones, 748 Madison Drive. Mr. Ward answered a lot of the questions that I had. We really didn't have a lot of time to research this, and the plans we received were on a full set of plans on the 8.5 by 11, so details were a little sketchy. But I guess I'm just wondering, in the traffic study, was a jail intersection entertained as part of this project to utilize the in and out route entrance?
The traffic study was conducted based on a right in, right out on Neal Street and a secondary access point on South Maple. So that's what was analyzed. Would this function, what would, it's assessed for what it would, for the levels of service that it would impact at various intersections, and that's what was presented with the plans, with the proposal to access Maple Point as a secondary access point.
Thank you.
And the other thing was, would it be possible to use the west, or the east side of the intersection? Have people to turn right going north on Neal, use Old Walk, use the red light, turn left, use your right hand in and out. In that sense, I know it sounds illogical to turn right, to go left, but TDOT does these diverging diamonds all the time where they're more or less on the left-hand side to keep from turning left in front of traffic and things like that. And just seems like a spot to try something a little different, I guess, to alleviate some of the additional traffic on the much busier west side of the intersection. All right.
Thank you for coming. Would anybody else like to speak?
I'm Kimberly Parrish. I live at 718 Maple Point. I'll make this short. Can you pull the picture up back with the pool? Where it has the pool, just to put this in a safety perspective for all of our residents, whether it's our older residents or our grandchildren. But when you're the one that actually has where it shows the pool. As we talk.
That shows.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, it shows it up there. There was one better. But
Which you can see from these.
this, yeah.
This
When
one.
they were talking about how the pool is adjacent right here, and when you're looking at the access, you have lots of our residents that are on walkers and grandchildren coming through here. And as far as on the Sunday mornings, it's a huge safety risk for our whole entire population. On Maple also, as far as EMS vehicles getting to us, when you've got that much volume of traffic on Maple, you know, a lot of times when you're on 111, you've got the median to get to and they can make it through. There has been a lot of ambulances in our residents in recent days. And so if they're trying to come down South Maple and they have nowhere and they're backed up, time is of the essence. So it is a huge safety liability risk for every single member that lives at Maple Point. So I just ask you to reject this. Thank you.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to speak? Seeing nobody, any other comments?
The petitioner's here, Mr. Chairman, submitted the
Excuse me.
request, so, I'm sorry.
Mr. Grayson?
Yes, I'm Mr. Grayson. So I'm the bad guy, I guess, in the room today. But mostly I just wanted to give everybody time. I wanted to hear your concerns with the development. And I can tell you that church is among the very many potential neighbors you could have on this property. They'll be good neighbors for you to have compared to what you could have going in. And this access point was chosen in coordination with the planning officials from the city. And we're making sure that we're following the law and we're trying to protect your use and current use of the properties here. If you'd like, you can coordinate with the city's planning officials and get your concerns to us. If there's things that you'd like us to take into note in our design of the church here. But the way that traffic's going to be coming in and out of this entrance here, it won't affect the pool area up here and the rest of the housing up there. As far as people crossing the street and things, I actually visited the site earlier today, and I saw that it's not really easy to see traffic coming down South Maple Avenue when you come down to this intersection. That's probably one of the reasons it's hard to turn right going north. I don't know what we could do with that, but maybe we could work with the property owner adjacent to try and clear up that angle of sight so you can see cars come down the hill. There's things we can do to improve the traffic patterns there, but we did a traffic study so that we could examine in full depth the impacts that the church could have on the traffic patterns in the area. And the traffic is only going to be on Sunday. It's not going to be in peak times. It won't affect your morning and evening commutes. I think that's all I really had to say. Thank you. I'm willing to answer questions too, if you'd like.
Anybody, money's up, anybody else?
I have a question. Joe,
I can hear you too.
What is preventing you from having a second exit on the Neal?
So, I don't know if you want to answer that, Jonathan, but
No, I mean, so I will address the commission. The city has maintained that median, we try to maintain that median to keep traffic flowing, right? I mean, we just discussed this with Tennessee Avenue. The more cuts you have, the less functionality you get on the facility. It just starts to break down, right? So, we have told numerous folks that have proposed different developments on Neal that we weren't willing to cut the median, you've got what you got, you can have right ins, right out. I mean, we're not encouraging, or we didn't ask for a Maple Point connection. They brought this proposal. They can be approved with the right in, right out on South Maple. On Neal Street, right? I mean, they don't have to have a second entrance. That is their ask before the board, right? When the developer developed this property, it's a rarity in townhomes because the street is a public street. The majority of our townhome developments are private street developments. So if it were a private street, there would, the Maple Point who owned the street would be who made the decision on whether you had access or not. When it's a public street, you have legal access to the street. Now, there is the provision in the zoning code about the double frontage lots, which is the decision before the commission tonight. It's whether or not you want to permit this second form of this second access point. Our initial review, we had concerns if Maple Point was wide enough. Did it need a right turn and a left turn and an in turn and improvements there? That's why we required a traffic impact study from the developers. So once we asked for that impact study, the engineering firm has made the analysis and recommended that wasn't necessary. So it's difficult for us to, after we've made them go to the time and expense of doing the traffic study, to not take the study's recommendations for what they are. So, but it is a public street. That's what grants them access, and it is a church, right? So, I mean, it is, the parcel zone CR. So that's one of our, more intense commercial zones that allow large scale commercial development. So it would be less impactful, but I understand it would be impactful on these folks, particularly on Sundays. So the decision's up to the commission, whether you guys want to recommend, whether you want to approve this, because it's your decision. It doesn't go to council. The planning commission determines whether you want to permit this access, or if you want to make a recommendation otherwise. That would be up to the commission.
I do have some concerns about access there, but particularly the intersections even, as much as anything, coming out from, onto Maple and then from Maple to Veterans, it's a difficult intersection to begin with.
Which is why we asked for the traffic study, right? I mean, we understand the sensitivity of this area, and that is a dysfunctional design there on how Maple. It's difficult to make a left turn from Maple onto Veterans. Obviously traffic volumes are high there as well. I understand.
For me, I would perhaps like to look at the traffic study in more in depth. I should have done that before tonight, clearly. That would be something that, in order for me to vote in favor of it, I would want to spend some more time, they should spend some more time on the property. So I would be willing to defer or, see what the rest of the commission is interested in doing.
John, if this does not move forward, is the right in, right out on Neal the only option that the city will move forward with, or with the city looking at that again, if they're kind of hamstringing into a corner?
Our desire is to maintain the median and keep the traffic going right now. If the planning commission wants to make a recommendation otherwise, that's up to the planning commission to do. Understanding, that's, eliminating what we have remaining of the median. Everybody knows how well traffic moves on Neal Street where the median exists, because you don't have to worry about turning movements, right?
I agree
That is up to the commission that's your decision to make.
Is there, like Mr. Reed said, would there be a problem with having another right in, right out on further south on Neal or west, whatever that is?
They have a street frontage that would permit 2 access points, right? That's also regulated, the number of access points. We have, we do access management here in the city to try to eliminate, some of the development that we have we haven't managed to access historically. So, yes, but they would be permitted 2 points on Neal, but as you said, they're both 2 right in, right outs.
Would that work for you?
So we had that alternative, we tried with the city, but the second right in, right out entrance on Neal Street would be too close to the intersection, with veterans. And so I wouldn't be allowed
What
for
was the
your cap.
guidance on that?
No, it's not too close. I mean, it's a 50-foot separation, essentially is the separation. And you've got there's a track between them. And, this is where the Bat Cave is located, if everybody's familiar with the Bat Cave. So it's an environmentally sensitive area there, but the church is aware. They've been working with U.S. Fish and Wildlife on those issues. But yeah, there is no, you would not violate any of our standards to add an additional right in or right out.
But the second reason the entrance there doesn't work is the elevation is involved. There would be too much elevation gain from the entrance point up to where the church needs to be for the building pad. It would be too steep for cars to climb.
You have a parking lot right there by Neal Street. It ends right on Neal. On the southeast corner.
It would already be a 3-to-1 slope all the way up to the parking lot.
So we have that same concern on the grade.
It is a steep street.
It's a steep, for going right into Maple. They don't clean our street during bad weather. So now we're already worried about sliding down into Maple.
Yeah.
And now you add on in the skinny road, all this other traffic. So we ask that as a good neighbor, you guys choose to use it. Because it's very.
We're talking about an entrance that would be 3 times as steep as your current road is, so.
Mr. Grayson, Mr. Owens got a question for you.
Oh, sorry, I apologize.
Well, no, I'm not. John, was sitting here listening to this conversation, some of your comments, thinking back to this. Prior to taking Tennessee Avenue was available. Access points in Tennessee was Neal, originally, because I know we've got turning points, Honda, we've got turning points at Lowe's. Are there other, is there anything that's ever sort of pre-planned or pre-defined for Neal Street for give it the turning point, or is it just design and all that?
It was designed with the median, but the median's been eliminated in certain areas as the properties have developed throughout. Right, but we have tried to maintain the median moving forward, right? But there was no restricted access approved for the facility or, anything like that that I'm aware of.
One more comment. We're not advocating that you put in the intersection to cut the intersection. This is a fairly small church. They can come out and turn right on the Neal and then disperse wherever they wanna go. It's not like there's 1,000 cars coming out. What's wrong with one exit? It's a small church. Thank you for that. Any other? No, I had a question for Mr. Reyes. Thanks for the time. Same. Thank you. Any questions, any discussion on the commission? Seeing, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion that we deny this and take it back to the end of nothing study. Take a look at either having a single entrance or an alternative.
Got a motion? Second. All those in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion passes. Moving on, we've got some study.
We have three study items. One, consider study, the zoning code,